Well, hello and welcome to In the Know. Today we welcome back our resident registered holistic nutritionist, Shannon Kadlovski. We are talking about detoxifying and de-stressing. Okay, so let's start with stress. Or de-stressing.
Yeah. So I want to talk first about stress and how it actually affects our bodies before we get into sort of how we're going to de-stress. Because it's important to know and to identify the stressors in our life and what's actually going on inside of our system when we are stressed. I mean, there's two types of stress. There's the acute stress, which is sort of the day-to-day stresses, you know, an argument with a friend or driving in traffic or something like that. That's the acute stress that we experience. And then there's the chronic type of stress, which is more ongoing, long-lasting stress that doesn't really seem to end. So, you know, living in a bad relationship or working in a job that you are not happy with or having, you know, an illness in the family, the more lingering types of stress that really affect our health and our well-being. So what happens when we get stressed out is our body releases hormones, adrenaline and cortisol, and this triggers what's called the fight or flight response. So what that means is that our body adapts to the stress and enables us to sort of get away from the danger that it's perceiving us to be in. So our blood pressure starts to rise, you know, our digestion starts to shut down, our immune system starts to shut down so that our body can enable us to sort of get away and run away from the danger. And it increases our energy to allow us to do that. The problem is when over time, you have this chronic stress happening, and it starts to deplete our adrenal glands, and those are our stress-fighting glands. Right. And you know, oftentimes you'll start to release these hormones without warning. So even when you're not in a stressful situation, your body will start to release these hormones because your adrenal glands have become so weakened over time. And we don't have the chance to sort of recover from the stressful situations that we're in, and it leads to things like anxiety, depression, you know, headaches, high blood pressure, heart issues, digestive issues, all of these horrible things that we don't want to have happen are happening because of the chronic stress that we're experiencing in our lives.
And it can happen really at any age. There are kids that experience stress. You know, as you get older, as you become a senior, your stresses change.
Absolutely.
But it can certainly affect, and I want to remind everyone at home that our phone lines are open. So if you have a question for Shannon, please do give us a call. We're here the entire hour. Over the next course of the hour, we're talking about how to de-stress, add supplements into our lives and into our lifestyles, and then detoxifying.
Exactly.
And how these two, you know, stress and toxicity can, you know, really be toxic for our lives.
And the thing is, I mean, we can't ever eliminate stress from our lives unless we live in a bubble and we don't talk to anyone. Right. Then you'll be stress-free. But everyone, you know, the reality is everyone deals with, you know, stress in their lives, and it's a matter of how you identify and then manage that stress that's going to allow you to live a normal life. Okay. So, you know, having a proper diet, having the proper relaxation techniques, and sometimes, you know, calls for some supplementation, that's really going to allow us to cope with our stress much better.
Okay.
So I wanted to talk mostly because, like I mentioned, stress really affects a whole number of issues in our system, but I really want to talk about how it affects our sleep and our mood and our energy levels, because that's really important. So the whole thing with sleep is when you're stressed, you can't fall asleep because you have a million things going on in your head.
Mind is racing.
Your mind is racing, so you're having trouble sleeping. And then on the other side, it's kind of a vicious cycle because you're not sleeping, so your body's not restoring, which means that you're not, you know, you're not recovering from the stress.
Double stress.
Exactly. So it's just this vicious cycle. So we have to learn how to sleep better, you know, and implement things into our lives that are going to allow us to sleep better so that we can recover and really try to de-stress and relax. So one tip would be to get adequate sleep. You know, somewhere between 6 to 8 hours a night is a reasonable amount of time to sort of allow your body to recover. And sleeping at, you know, going to bed at a reasonable time. Our body actually sleeps when it's dark, or is supposed to sleep when it's dark out, and it's supposed to be awake when it's light out. So going to bed at 2 a.m. and getting up at 10 a.m. is a completely different type of sleep than, let's say, going to bed at 10 or 11 and waking up at 6 or 7. It's actually a different restorative process that takes place. So getting to bed at a reasonable time and sleeping for a reasonable amount of time is really important. Also, having light in the room. Your body needs to sleep in darkness. Melatonin, which is a chemical that's produced, is produced in darkness. So even having your alarm clock beside you with the red flashing light, that interferes with your normal sleep patterns and your normal rhythm. So trying to get really rid of all the light in the room is really important.
Everyone, I used to be guilty of it, but I'm not anymore, falling asleep to the TV.
Yeah, so that's another thing. Your brain is, you know, constantly going, the lights from the TV are flashing, and it's not allowing your body time to sort of unwind before you go to bed. So Maybe reading a book would be a better idea than watching TV before. We're all guilty of it. We all do it, but it's not really beneficial for us, especially in times of stress when we need to sort of relax and calm down before we're actually able to fall asleep. So aside from those, sort of simple things that we can do, there's some supplements and things that we can implement into our day to sort of help combat that stress and ease the tension and allow us to sleep. So the first thing is magnesium. And a lot of us, most of us actually, a lot of the population is deficient in magnesium. And magnesium is required for like 300 different biochemical reactions in our body. And most importantly, when it comes to something like stress, it really helps to calm our nervous system and protect our nervous system. So we really need to, in a time of stress or in a time that you're really trying to get more sleep, this product here, it's called Natural Calm. And it's a highly potent form of magnesium citrate. It's highly absorbable and it's water soluble, so it really starts to take effect quite quickly, and it's really beneficial for us. So basically all you would do with this is you would take about a quarter cup of boiling water. I'll have you try it. Maybe we'll get you less stressed on the show.
I'm not very stressed right now, but you always make me the guinea pig. It's usually a good thing, but...
So you'd want to take about a quarter cup of water and about a teaspoon's worth of the magnesium powder. And well, I guess it is going to bubble. So it starts to bubble and foam up a little bit. And you would just let it sit for a couple seconds, and then you can just mix it around, and you would drink it like you would a tea. Sometimes I add mine to my tea, put some lemon in it, put some honey in it, however you'd like to flavor it.
It's foaming.
Yeah. So this one's a raspberry lemon flavor. You can pretty much just drink it any way you would tea, and it just helps to sort of calm and relax us.
Okay, I'm gonna take a sip, and we're gonna take a short break, and we'll be back with more with Shannon and In the Know right after the break. Here I go. Welcome back to In the Know. Shannon Kadlovski is here today. We are talking about de-stressing and detoxifying, and I just had a little bit of magnesium powder and some hot water, and you know what? It was actually pretty good. It was raspberry lime, you said?
Raspberry lemon, this one is, yeah. They have an orange flavor as well and a lemon, I believe, yeah.
What else do you have?
Okay, so the next thing I have are B vitamins. So this is a B complex.
B, when you say B.
Okay, so it's a whole range of B vitamins. There are 8 essential B vitamins. And they range, in sort of what they do for us. A lot of them help to combat stress. A lot of them help to, combat physical stress. For example, B1, 2, and 3 help to combat the physical stress that we experience. Vitamin B5 is considered the anti-stress vitamin because it actually helps to produce stress-related hormone chemicals in our body and our adrenal glands. And vitamin B6 actually helps to produce serotonin, which is our feel-good chemical. So they all play a role in sort of the nervous system in order to help calm and combat stress. Yeah, so taking, so you would want to, this one is a B50 complex, so it's 50 milligrams per capsule. So you would want to take one a day, and you would take it with food because that allows it to absorb more easily into our system. And again, it just really helps to protect our nervous system and combat stress. The next thing on the list is ashwagandha.
Ashwagandha.
Ashwagandha, yeah. Ashwagandha is a herb. And it's considered an adaptogen. And what that means is that it allows our body to adapt to what is going on, whatever our body is experiencing. So if our body is experiencing a stressful time, it allows our body to adapt to that stress. And it really helps to, it's really good for reducing anxiety. And a lot of the time when we're overly stressed, like I mentioned, our adrenal glands start to fire off these hormones without warning, and that leads to anxiety. So taking something like ashwagandha really helps to sort of, again, calm our system, helps to promote restful sleeps, and it's just a really good relaxing herb for us to take. And you can take, I don't know what the dosage is in this. Okay, this one's 500 milligrams. So taking this 2 or 3 times a day at each meal would be beneficial. The next thing on my list, there's no item for it, but it's yoga. So yoga, it really has great benefit to our nervous system and to our stress levels. So some of the positions that you practice in yoga actually help to bring blood to the sleep center of the brain. So it actually has a reaction inside of our body that allows us to sleep better and to de-stress. And along with that, along with what it actually does inside of our brains, it actually helps to detoxify our system as well. And as we know, detoxifying, getting rid of all the chemicals and the toxins in our system really helps to allow us to feel better, to feel rejuvenated, and it's a really good sort of relaxing practice for us to do, to even try 1 or 2 times a week to get into a yoga class or practice yoga at home, you know, buying a video at home and doing it yourself, whatever works for you kind of thing. Just trying to implement it into your schedule at some point would be really beneficial, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The next thing on my list is 5-HTP.
Okay.
And that stands for 5-hydroxytryptophan. And what that is, it's a precursor to serotonin. And as we've talked about before, serotonin is that feel-good chemical, right? And so when we have enough serotonin produced, we're able to cope with our stress a little bit better. We tend to feel better. And the 5-HTP allows us to do that. It allows us to relax. It allows us to combat the anxiety that we're experiencing. So taking about 50 to 100 milligrams 3 times a day is beneficial for someone who's going through a really stressful period.
Okay.
Yeah, so that you would take the 5-HTP that way. If you are taking antidepressants or any other kind of sedative medication, I would stay away from that, or talk to your doctor or your nutritionist or someone about what suits you best.
Okay, excellent.
The last thing on my stress busting list is GABA, and GABA is a neurotransmitter that's naturally produced in our brain as well. But again, sometimes when people are going through a stressful time, it's beneficial to supplement so that we have enough GABA.
Yes.
Okay. So taking about 500 to 1,000 milligrams per day of the GABA would be beneficial. I've taken the GABA before. I don't take it on a regular basis. Some people do. So some people would take it as part of their regular routine. I take it when I'm going through a specific stressful period. You know, when I was studying, I would take it before an exam, or I'm not a great flyer, so when I get on an airplane, I would take GABA, and it sort of just helps me to calm my nerves and relax a little bit. It doesn't really have a sedative effect, so you don't feel drowsy or anything like that. It sort of just helps to calm you, and you just feel okay.
Don't go anywhere. More with Shannon Kadlovski here on In the Know when we return from this short break.